My name is Kitty and I'm a volunteer at the national charity OCD Action. I would like to talk to you about obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. I need to make it clear from the start that I'm not a doctor or a clinician, but I'm closely aware of the impact of OCD. The material on the website, though, and the information packs have been approved by experts in OCD in young people. OCD can be a very time-consuming and distressing anxiety disorder. As a result, it can interfere with many aspects of life, including socializing with friends, getting on with family members, and also academic performance. Many people have worried about something horrible happening to someone very close to them. For most of us, that is a real, but only fleeting thought. For someone with OCD, part of the brain is like a bully who keeps nagging with the thought that this special person that they love is definitely going to come to some harm and that it's all due to his or her fault. This is known as an obsession, and it can often trigger repetitive behaviors to reduce the distress it causes, and the behaviors are known as compulsions. So, obsessions are intrusive, frequent, and unwanted images, thoughts, and ideas which cause anxiety. For example, obsessions might be fear about dirt or contamination, worries about harm coming to yourself or others, unwanted sexual thoughts, or thoughts about doing something forbidden or embarrassing, discomfort if things are not symmetrical or even, or fear of losing important things. To reduce anxiety, the young person often performs compulsions, which are behaviors which aim to reduce the anxiety caused by the obsessional thoughts. So, for example, the bully in the head might command the person to do some of the following compulsions: check things over and over again, touch or tap things, seek reassurance, hoard or collect things that are useless, arrange things so they are just right, wash and clean repeatedly, count, repeat, and redo things. These compulsions or rituals can take up a huge amount of time each and every day. People with OCD usually, but not always, recognize the irrationality or excessiveness of their obsessions. And this is one of the most frustrating aspects of the disorder. Let me tell you about the possible signs of OCD that you may observe at school. Poor attention and concentration due to distraction from unwanted thoughts or the need to perform rituals. Extreme tiredness due to being up late at night doing rituals, or the overall exhaustion caused by the constant battle with OCD. Frequent or prolonged toilet visits due to completing cleaning rituals. An inability to touch objects, materials, or other people due to possible contamination fears. Excessive questioning and need for reassurance. Messy work due to having to repeat rituals such as rewriting or erasing words. Repeated lateness as a result of being delayed by rituals. Late handing in work due to being slowed down by obsessions and or compulsions. Arranging items on a desk, shelf or classroom so that objects are aligned. Repetitive behaviors such as getting up and down from a desk or opening and closing the door. Difficulties making decisions. Low self-esteem and difficulty with peer relationships. And an overall reduction in grades or decline in school performance. OCD affects 1 to 2% of young people. So among 100 students, the chances are that you may have between 1 and 2 students who suffer from OCD with varying degrees of severity. People with OCD are often embarrassed by their symptoms, and therefore they may try to hide their fears and behavior. This is why OCD is sometimes known as a secret disorder and may not be diagnosed for a while. The sufferer may be worried that they'll be seen as weird and may suffer for a long time in silence before seeking help. Schools can play a major role in helping to identify young people who may have OCD and providing appropriate support. If you feel that a young person may have OCD, then it is important that you share your concerns with their parents and suggest that they investigate it further. We're not suggesting that schools make a diagnosis, but rather to be aware of how it may present at school and how to signpost families to sources of support. Just as you're now familiar with spotting other disorders such as dyslexia and anorexia, we would like to guide you in how to identify young people with OCD. The formal diagnosis would then be done by healthcare professionals, starting with a family's GP. Once diagnosed, the recommended treatment is CBT, that's cognitive behavior therapy. It will be helpful for people to know that living with OCD can be difficult. Progress is more likely to be made if you're able to work with a young person, with their parents and the therapist to agree on when to accommodate and when to challenge the young person's OCD. I'd like to show you the information leaflets which have been developed. There are 3. One for school personnel, one for young people, and one for parents. The teacher guide gives you some more information about OCD and the signs to look out for. It also gives practical tips about some of the things you can do in the classroom to help a young person with OCD. A lesson plan which has been written by a special educational needs coordinator is included to ensure that other young people at school learn about OCD as part of a PSHE lesson, which could then lead to open discussions in class. A young person with OCD will often feel more secure if they know that their peers understand what they are going through and how OCD affects a person's life. This in itself will help to remove some of the anxiety. The teacher's monitoring form can be used to record how a young person is coping with their OCD and whether the changes that you have put in place are improving their quality of life. The parent's guide explains what OCD is and how it affects their child. It also talks about how it is important that they work with you to support their child at school. You will have your own protocols about how to make parents aware of any problems that you think their child faces at school. So it is at your discretion when to give this guide to a young person's parents. The Young Person's Guide to OCD talks about why it is important for them to work with you and their parents to help them get better. As with the Parent's Guide, it is up to you when you think it is most appropriate to give this guide out. It may be best to wait until a young person has been diagnosed with OCD or is going through the assessment process. The pack also contains monitoring forms, as it is very important that you and the young person with OCD and their parents monitor progress and are able to talk openly about any issues that they face. I urge you to take time to learn about OCD. Do please spread the word amongst the staff at the school. Be aware, be proactive, and take action. So in summary, remember, OCD affects around 1 to 2% of people, so it is very likely that you do have young people here struggling with OCD right now. Young people with OCD may be suffering in silence and hiding their behaviors. They may not know they are suffering from OCD. We're not asking you to diagnose. We're asking you to spot the signs and bring it to the attention so that parents can take their children to a GP or health professionals for a diagnosis. If confirmed, it will be helpful for the person to learn that OCD is the reason for their anxiety and to know that living with OCD can be difficult. Just as with dyslexia, anorexia, diabetes, it is important to make staff and students aware of OCD. The person with OCD will often feel more secure if they know that peers and teachers understand their condition. In closing, please do make some time to look at the information on the website. Think about who in your school may need help now. Thank you very much for listening.